All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I thought we might use a wall, but then I didn't move my chairs. So I don't know. I'll do something else at the end than what I had planned. What I wanted to focus on today, or at the beginning of this week, we focused on angels. And then yesterday we focused on the phoenix. And today is yin. And with yin, for today, I want us to be a little quieter, a little bit more introspective, because that's what the practice is really asking us to do. But to divert away from the subject matter and things that we've done this week, something that I want you to consider today that we're doing this live stream is, what is today? January 12th or 13th? January 13th. And tomorrow, the 14th, is when Mercury goes into retrograde. And Mercury usually goes into retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. I believe this year is 4 times. It usually lasts for about a 3-week period. And we're in the shadow of that. So we're already feeling that energy coming in. And Venus has also been in retrograde. And Venus is in retrograde, and it happens to be traveling really close to Pluto. I guess with the way it's turning on its axis. And Pluto is considered the lord of the underworld. Pluto is the planet where the energy likes to kind of excavate and dig up the dirt and move to the depths. And so the conjunction is with Pluto for the Mercury in retrograde too. So both of these retrograde periods are also being influenced by this planetary energy. So basically, we're being asked to question our own soul's evolution. And this is a good time, typically at the beginning of January, where we feel like a lot of motivation, we're goal setting, and we have this drive to improve ourselves or to manifest something in our life. However, at the onstart of 2022, even if you were feeling it internally, maybe you haven't been able to pursue it. And what's happening right now with the planets is why. So I wanted to give you, this idea that it's okay. It's okay that you're not jump starting, that you're not goal setting, that you're not striving, that you may not feel as motivated for change. It's okay. Just relax into it, take rest, because with the retrogrades, we're supposed to pull back. We're supposed to relax. We're supposed to, reflect, reinvent, reanalyze, revamp, rewind. So that's what I want us to do in our practice. I want us to go into a deep state of self-reflection while we're doing this practice. And this is what I want you to be in the question of: whether or not you, your life, and your choices are aligned to your soul and your soul's evolution. It could be that you're still living in the past, you're still doing something that maybe you did have passion for, but things have been changing, especially the last 2 years. I know for myself personally, as much as I love teaching yoga, I don't plan on giving it up. I plan on teaching until my 80s or 90s if possible. But I don't think I want to be teaching as much as I am right now, or as much as I have been. I want to move more into energy work. I want to do more Reiki. I want to, anyway, I just have these other things that are now evolving internally that I want to manifest externally. So for you, it could be any number of things. So let's just get on the mat and let's reflect on these things. When you come to the mat, we're going to go ahead and start in a pose. And we're going to start in Banana Asana. So when you come to lie on your mat, you're going to travel the feet over to the right corner. And then your arms are going to splay overhead. And you're going to curve the upper body that same direction. Now, I'm suggesting you keep both heels resting on the floor. I know that if you cross, one ankle over the other, it does create a little bit of a deeper stretch. However, it also disrupts circulation. So let's keep the blood flowing well and keep the feet uncrossed. Check in with your shoulders. Make sure they're adapting to this position. If by any chance the back of your hands don't touch the floor, that could potentially create some strain. So you can always put a blanket or something underneath the forearms. And close your eyes. Channel the breath, primarily through the nose if that's available. And I've chosen to open up the left side of the body first. Since the left side is the lunar side, the feminine side, the yin side. Open up your breathing. Maybe you've already noticed how the left lung's expanding more. And then I'm going to give you a choice between two different pranayama techniques. The first one being deep and diaphragmatic. And I would choose this one if you're looking for relaxation or a state of calm to be cultivated within. Or I would choose the Ujjayi Pranayama, the victorious breath, if you're needing some invigoration. Now with the Ujjayi Pranayama, the invigorating breath, you want it to be more rhythmic. With your diaphragmatic breathing, it's okay if your inhale or exhale is more pronounced. Diving into your state of observation. Observe how the breath has affected the mind. Hopefully it's clearing out the clutter. Hopefully it's clearing away distraction. Hopefully you're clearing away any negative self-talk. On your next in-breath, separate the left limbs away. Bring the head to center, creating this star-like shape. And keeping the eyes closed, keeping the awareness within, noticing how we can sense that left side has been stimulated. So now let's move to the other side, right foot, crossing over to join the left. Arms lifting up alongside the ears, curving the same direction. So now you're opening the masculine, the solar, the yang side of the body. Check in with your arms, hands or shoulders to see if they need any extra padding. Come back to the breathing technique. Sensing the right lung expanding more. Know the breath can be a cleansing for the respiratory system. It can be purifying for the nerve roots. And it's also clearing for the mind. Your next in-breath, separate the right limbs. Bring the head to center. Continue to breathe, letting that assimilate within. And take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, take a hold of your knees. But you're drawing them towards your side ribs. So there's a great gap between the thighs. Your ankles, toes can stay soft. And notice if you're really pulling the knees in and up towards the chest. Why don't you just relax your arms so that the tailbone can kind of work itself forward and down the lane of your mat. Versus curling up and lifting towards the ceiling. Now working into the hips and the lumbar area of the back. Noticing if any area in particular is speaking up. And if it is, what is it trying to say? Do you need to do more? Do you need to do less? Do you need to come out? Or is there a certain somewhere that tends to pipe up within quite a number of poses? Maybe that's where life has become stuck in your body. Since we're on the sacral chakra here, I have to share with you, last night I was teaching at Unity, and there's a woman I don't know how long she's been doing yoga, but she's been with me ever since I transferred teaching there. And she was real excited to see me last night because I haven't seen her since before the holidays. Because she had a very vivid dream. And it was about the second chakra, and it was a very vibrant color of orange. And it was so vivid that she decided the next day she needed to look up second chakra and learn more about it, because she doesn't have it memorized, of course. She's just been in the class when we talked about it. And when she looked it up, she was like, wow, everything pertained to what she was experiencing in life. And I just smiled and I said, you just leveled up. Those kind of things start to happen when we've been practicing a while. When our awareness broadens, we start to notice how things are showing up in dreams. We start to notice how when we ask a question, certain answers will come. We may notice certain synchronicities occurring in life, or we may meet a person and feel an automatic connection, and then they're giving us advice or opening up a doorway. And prior to that point, we may not have been able to connect the dots. So just be in that wonderment on how your practice has helped you and how it has shown up in different ways. These signs and synchronicities may be trying to show us it's time for the soul's next evolution. Maybe it's time to change our ways. Or try something different. Now gently begin to draw the legs together. Apanasana. Relieve your hips. Even though we're still working in the hips, it relieves at least the way we were rotating out. Stack your hands on top of your knees and now start to circle them several times. One way. And then the other. And then roll over to one side of your body. I have to get up to grab my blocks. But we're all getting up anyway because we're going to bring the blocks to the top of the mat. Have your blanket and hands reach because we're going to need that for the knee. In fact, if you know that you can easily step over, forward and back from the blanket, you can go ahead and set it there. And that way it's strategically placed. And then ground your feet at the top of the mat. Line up through your legs, line up through your vertebrae. Bring the hands together to Anjali Mudra. And then inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, fold down. And for now, just try to keep straight legs. We're going to do a blend of yin and yang today. On your next inhalation, step your left foot back. Now, if you need blocks, of course, you can bring them in here. And then we're going to lower the back knee. And we're going to stay in this half lunge. Sorry, I'm wearing a sweater today. Now, in yin, it's not as critical to stack the knee with precision over the ankle. So if the knee goes past the ankle a little bit and it's not hurting or straining the knee, you're good. Your hips are descending. And notice the back knee is farther back away from the hip. And this is so that we can stretch the psoas, but it's also so we can stretch the quads. And I know you guys have practiced with me this week. We did some things yesterday. It was the chariot, where we're leaning back and doing all that quad strengthening. I woke up, my quads were really sore. So in case your quads are sore, we're going to try to work that out. Close the eyes. You can be active or passive with your upper body, your head and your neck. From Anjaneyasana, we're going to take the blocks in our hands, because you're probably going to want them for this one. We're going to lean back through the hips, and then we're lifting the right toes. And again, you can stay on the blocks. You can keep the spine extended. And I actually feel good right here today. But if you feel like getting really super yin and folding and going into a different type of stretch, of course, you have that liberty. So think about how the legs are an area of the body that is kind of known for propelling us into action. And even though you may have ideas brewing, you may not feel at this time it's time to take those necessary steps. So that's why I was sharing the astrology with you. You may not feel that motivation until almost, mid-February. Perhaps with the Chinese New Year. Some of us are going to be getting some clarity around the full moon, which is the 19th next week. And even if you're watching this video much later than this date, the general topic still applies. Can you reflect and look at yourself and look at your life and look at your choices and see whether or not they are aligning to your soul's purpose and evolution? Now come back to the sole of the right foot, lean into that knee, drop down through the hips. Move the blocks out of the way, because we are going to bring the right knee back to table. Position your hands on the sticky mat. Make sure your toes are also on the sticky mat. And then you're going to lift up and back to downward facing dog. Now I'm going to give you a choice today. We're actually going to be maneuvering from down dog to up dog. However, if you wanted to transfer between down dog and child's pose and back and forth between those two, that's a good one as well. So on your inhale, pass through plank, drop the knees, unless you're going to child's, of course. You can move back to child's, or you can open the heart to up dog. And the exhale will take it into downward facing dog. Shifting forward to the knees, determining if you want child's or up dog.
And then exhale to downward facing. We're doing 3 sets, so 1 more.
Take your time with it.
Go ahead and drop back to the knees. Feel free to grab those blocks because it gives just a lot more space in order to step the left foot through. And from stepping that left foot through, finding a position where this back knee is not aligned underneath the hip. You can use blocks, or you can drape the fist, palms or fingertips down. You can even lower your head. I just noticed I was really gripping inside my mouth. Notice if you're starting to cultivate tension anywhere. So try to let it go. You may want the blocks for that half split. So draw them in and then lean back. Flex the left ankle. Choose traction in the back or a draping down through the back. Your choice. Ready. We're going to rock back to the sole of the left foot. We're going to move those blocks ahead. Oops. Tuck the back toes under, step it forward. But this time your knees are going to be pretty bent because you're going to do the yin form of the standing forward fold. Be sure to kind of nod or maneuver your head a few times. Just to loosen up the neck. Let it hang free. Push down through the feet. Take the arms to your sides and up. Exhale, hands to heart. Take a moment to pause here. Now we're going to get into those quads a little bit deeper. Inhale, the arms reach. Exhale, fold down. Uttanasana. Inhale, we're stepping the left foot back again. And we're going to sink the back knee, shin, foot, just like we did before. We're going to stay here for like 3 to 5 breaths, not as long. We're still, this is kind of like the warm-up we're doing for the quads. And then we'll take it deeper in just a moment. All right, bring the blocks with you because you may need it. Go ahead and lean back like you're going towards the half split, but we're not going to focus on the hamstrings this time. We're actually going to slide the right foot back, and this is where the block can come in handy. You may need to sit on a block in order to be able to stay on the top of that left shin. You might have the opportunity to lower down to your seat. And if you're trying to get into this shape and it's just not working for you today, please don't injure or damage the knee. It's not worth it. So I would ask you just to bring that foot on around and do more of a Janu Shirshasana. But for the rest of us, we're going to do a half saddle. So you can lift your arms up if you want. I'm just going to keep my hands down and lean over the straight leg. Now, actually, I'm going to move forward a little bit just because I have a bunion and I think the blanket will help my foot. So make any adjustments necessary for the pose to work out better in your situation. Again, we're not going to focus as much on the hamstrings, but we are getting this quad stretch on the left side. But I want to take it deeper. So inhale, we're going to lift up. Now, those of you in Janu Shirshasana or that half butterfly, you're just going to lie down on your back, or at this point, you could even take a bolster and put it behind you so that it'd be kind of half yin, half restorative. Now, one thing that you can try, right, is just leaning back into your hands first. How does that feel? Is it doable? Is it sustainable? If it feels sustainable, your body may be asking to roll back. And in that situation, your bolster's there, and you can move towards a soft landing. Try to relax as much as possible. And I know it's a little harder to relax with half saddle because we tend to feel a lot more from the knee up to the hip. Just do your best. Since this one's a lot, we're not going to stay much longer. Take 3 more breaths. And then we'll slowly lift the head, turn the palms down, slowly come up. And we need to move that bolster. Separate that away. Feel free to use your blocks to help. So you can push down through your blocks to lift your seat, to come back into this half lunge position. And then walk the right knee back. Set the blocks to the side, flatten the hands, curl the toes, and launch into downward facing dog. So the flow that we're doing today, remember you can move back and forth between down dog and child's pose. Well, something I failed to mention earlier, and you may have experienced it and noticed it on your own. But if you're choosing to go from down dog to child's, I would suggest inhale, down dog, exhale, child's pose. Coordinates with the breath better that way. However, if you're doing down dog and up dog, the better coordination is inhale, pass through plank, create your back bend, and then exhale to down dog. So choose one of those formats and do 3. At the end of that sequence, bring the knees back to the blanket. Your hands can find the blocks to, oh my God, I just went blank for a minute to see which side. Left foot forward. And then remember, we're not going to stay here as long this time, but we are going to be here for a few rounds of breath. Warming up the right quadriceps for that deeper stretch that we'll be entering. Rock it back. And again, we're not staying in that half split because that's not our focus. And I already know, so you can slide back and take the block under your seat. But I already know I need some padding for this bunion, so I'm moving up a little bit. Now the right leg, hopefully you can see this is in half saddle. Something that I see a lot of people do is flip the foot. If you flip the foot, you're not getting as much in the knee and the quads. But if that's the way you do it, if it doesn't create any problems or issues, then you can do that. But we'll first inhale, extend the spine, and fold over the front leg. You're ready, inhale, come up. Find that bolster. Oh shoot, I meant to tell you, just to remind you, If that's really not working out, do the half butterfly instead. All right, so lean back into your hands. Maybe this is enough. Sometimes even just being here can be enough. It's a lot for the foot and ankle. But since the emphasis is on the quads, maybe test the waters. Can you go back more? And find that soft landing on the bolster. And sometimes in gentle classes, we even create the slide, putting the blocks. I'm just going to use one block because you already know what I'm talking about. But that would bring you to higher elevation where you're not having to go as far downward. Actually, that feels pretty good. I'm going to stay there. And just because you can initially get into it, it doesn't always mean we're able to relax into it. So if you find that it's difficult, or if maybe, like I'm feeling on this side, my knee is piping up. And it's still okay. It's not giving me too much of a warning yet, but it is very different from that previous side. So if that continues or gets worse, I'm going to come out. And I want you to advise yourself to do the same. All right, we're going to move. Or come out first. I already came out. Come out first. Bring the block width. I'm going to scoot back so you can see this maneuver better. You can use your hands to push up, or you can use the blocks under the hands to push up. To ground that left foot, and we'll tuck the back toes under. We'll step it to the front of the mat. This time we're going to go back to dangling so the knees have that generous bend. You're releasing over and down. Inhale, pressurize the feet, sweep the arms to your sides and up. Exhale, hands to heart. So if you do have wall space, you can use a wall for this. I think I'm going to use this chair. And I'm going to slide the blanket over. So the blanket should be in front of the chair or the wall. And I feel like I need to take this off so you can see better. You've done it with me before. It's called King Arthur. I think it's easier to get into with blocks. So if you have your blocks to help you stabilize, I'm going to move out of the way just a little bit so you can see. I'm lifting my right foot, and you would either lift it up to the wall or the chair. And then you step the left foot forward, right? It's basically the same type of lunge that we were doing, except we're accentuating the quad stretch and the psoas. And then if you want to take your hands to the floor or spill over, Some people like to prop up higher. I like the lower form personally, but be expressive, figure out what suits you. And then we gently back away. You can replace or set your left knee down, lift the left foot, and then take the right foot out in front. I know I'm not mirroring you, but hopefully you've got the idea. The other reason I like to lean forward, it takes us to that forward patting of the knee. And sometimes when we back up or lift up, it can be a little too much impact for the top of the knee. Slowly press down through the floor or blocks to back your way out and to lower the left foot down. All right, so this is where you could potentially continue to use the chair. You could potentially continue to use the wall. Or if you don't have either available, I'm going to ask you just to come into Recline Butterfly. If you have a chair or a wall available, imagine I'm at a wall, legs up the wall. I take the feet apart and I slide them down. Same thing basically that I'm doing with this chair. My feet are propped up, but my knees are splayed apart. We're going to be here. Very similar to the pose we did at the beginning, except now we're utilizing a prop. And if you've chosen to do Recline Butterfly, remember the blocks can stack under your knees to make it more restorative. So as you're continuing your inner reflection on whether or not your life and your decisions are lining up to your soul's purpose, mission, and evolution, I want to just say I'm not planning on giving up any of the classes that I teach now. You know, even though I have this new direction of wanting to do more Reiki,
I can do that in my spare time. But a day or two ago, I got contacted by someone who's connected to the Recovery Ranch. And the Recovery Ranch is a rehab place, you know, helping people to break through their addictions. And they use a lot of extra tools like yoga, mindfulness, meditation. And I got super excited because someone said, hey, they're looking for a yoga teacher to contract to come in. And for a moment there, I thought, I want to do it. I want to go help people get through rehab. I want to teach them all these tools and techniques to help them through their struggle. Until I remembered, oh yeah, I don't want to add any more classes. I want to move in another direction. And still, my mind was like, well, maybe I could still fit in 1 or 2 a week, until I looked up the driving distance and realized the Recovery Ranch was over an hour away. And then I thought about the time factor and I thought, no, it's not for me. And those are the kind of things that may be coming our way that we need to sit with. We may feel called to in one area, but then when we look at the logistics of it all, it's like, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not truly the best for me or the situation. All right, so now that we've been stirring up these creative juices in the hips, you know, in the sacral chakra, if you're at a wall, basically you can just send legs up the wall. If you are at a chair, you can do legs up onto the seat like I'm demonstrating. And if you've been in Recline Butterfly, you may want to create another restorative position for Shavasana. Maybe Stonehenge, right? Stonehenge is the 2 blocks and the bolster on top, very similar to what I'm doing here with the chair. We're moving towards Shavasana. Take your time getting prepared. Feel free to cover with extra clothing or blankets to stay warm. And I've been encouraging to do some of that self-reflection thus far, but at this point, I want you to move towards a meditation. And in order to be led towards meditation, I would suggest observing the inflow and the outflow of the breath. Perhaps concentrating on a sacred symbol in your mind's eye. Or repeating a positive word or phrase or mantra over and over and over and over in your mind. Starting now.
Let's go ahead and begin to slide the feet down the wall. Or slide the feet back to the edge of the chair. Or hug the knees in if you were in Stonehenge or another position. Rolling over to one side of the body. Finding your way up to a seat. Whatever that looks like for you. Bringing your hands to prayer. Let's all remember through the beginning of this retrograde period to honor the times where we need rest. Let's allow our minds to review our lives, to reflect on our choices. And then let's wait for this next full moon to illuminate any new information that can help to point the way. And we'll wait for the energy that begins to propel us forward into action. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.